I hear you.
Can you all do me a favor and plug your channels with and add everyone in my server? I'm literally just got in my car to start my commute home, so I'm not even going to be able to stream for an hour.
For an hour? A whole hour, Tiberius?
Yeah, I literally travel 2 counties for work whenever I go home to help out the farm.
Gracious.
Well, the only difference is for you, it takes an hour to go 15 minutes, or excuse me, it takes you an hour to go 15 miles. For me, it takes an hour to go 60 miles.
Just move to California already. You'll be happier.
No, I don't think I will.
I absolutely know you will.
California's just get old. Nobody wants to move there.
Yeah, exactly. California is not a good place to live. I'm sorry.
Weather's great, but fucking the price ain't.
Yeah, the price definitely ain't. But it's not just that. It's the going there
as bad. The people are bad. The hobos have sepsis. I could keep going. The weather's bad. You catch allergies from breathing. Every time I've been to California, I've almost caught AIDS from some fucking harlot just walking down the street and breathing. It's terrible.
I mean, Texas is no better anyway, so.
Texas is much better.
The weather is good. Everything you said is right, except for the weather.
No, weather's bad. Listen, I don't know if you've seen the two Marines talking about Texas. We can't play that every year because it's TOS, but bread raises faster, you make more money, our dicks are bigger, everything's bigger. There's nothing wrong with Texas at all.
There's everything wrong with Texas. I can't fucking stand the state. It's overrated completely. So, and I have lived there, so I would know.
Fake news. You don't know diddly bupkis.
Yeah.
Nada.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
I don't know. I'm just
going to shout out that if you want a truly underrated state, it's called Ohio. All right.
No, Ohio. That's why they call everything Ohio. That's bad because everything that's not Ohio is bad.
It's boring. Ohio.
Give me the Ohio, bro.
Ohio is just the northern part of Kansas, basically. It's just like Kansas, except it's a little bit further north. That's about it.
Yeah, the only thing good about Ohio is they don't have Detroit.
Right. I am going to say that the guy from Michigan is not a credible source for the quality of Ohio. Just saying.
Well, I mean, to be fair, the only state worse than Ohio is Michigan because they have Detroit.
Oh, absolutely.
So,
no, not even close. I mean, come on. I could talk about all the shitty cities. Like Dallas is a shitty city.
Dallas is amazing. I don't know if you've seen the show Dallas. Dallas is now getting what's it called? Stock exchange. It's an oil capital of the world. It's going to be now a financial capital of the world. Houston's amazing. We have Tex Orleans. I don't know if you know this. We're the biggest port in the United States in Houston. Our food's amazing. Once again, our dicks are bigger in Houston. TxDOT tries out new shit in Houston. It's amazing. I keep going on. What else you got? Beyonce's from Houston. She wiped out half of the people in the that are singers. So that's just because she's better.
Honestly, I don't even listen to. She's talented. Yes, she's a generational talent. Honestly, yes. But
she's also a generational mass murderer. It's astounding.
Yeah, man. Mass murderer.
Yeah, you don't know about Beyonce and her taking out anybody that doesn't thank her.
I thought Hillary.
I've never heard of that.
Her body count's higher than Hillary. That's why Adele was crying, and Kanye had to save Taylor Swift. You don't know all this stuff?
That's Jay-Z. Don't blame Beyonce.
Yeah, it's Beyonce. She's the one. She's pulling the strings.
I don't know about that, but okay.
Jay-Z is Beyonce's bitch.
Ooh,
all right, I mean,
big words. All right, so we're gonna go ahead and get this popping. Welcome, one and all, to the Minds of the Ecclesia panel. I am your host, Lethe Kai. And with me, I have some amazing guests, actually super epic this week. Gonna go ahead and let everybody get a shout out, starting with Admiral Gibbs.
Yeah, that's right. Everything in Texas is better. That's all you need to know. I'm from Texas because I'm better. And really, that's all that matters. Admiral Gibbs, you can find me over at Admiral Gibbs.
All right. And with us today, Joe Lewis.
Yeah, cool. Thanks for having me. Just a housekeeping thing. I found that you have to adjust my volume to 200% for it to come out pretty clearly. That was something I worked with Danabo with for a little bit, just a heads up. But yeah, thanks for having me.
Sound good. Thank you. And with us today, Lactoid, who's going to be doing a lot of heavy lifting.
Yeah, no, I appreciate you having me on. Lactoid, you can find me at Lactoid TV on Twitch, Twitter, and YouTube.
Awesome as always. And with us today, Alex Kirsch.
How's it going? Thank you so much for having me, Lethe. I'm Alex Kirsch from the Alex Kirsch Project. You can find me on YouTube and Twitch and on the X platform. And all my takes are usually very correct, so don't get it twisted now. And let's just say Texas is completely overrated, especially its barbecue. I'm just saying it as is. Even Georgia barbecue is better. But anyway, Lethe, once again, thank you so much for bringing me on. I'm glad to come on whenever I do, and let's get this party started.
Glad to have you. And a long time ago in a galaxy far, far away, we have Tiberius.
I apologize. I can't be on the high quality visual beauty that is my face. No, I'm kidding anyway. But I'm on that grind set. I literally just jumped in my car to head home, and it's about a 1 hour commute. So you'll see my disgusting face in about an hour. So, prepare for that. But yeah, you guys know me. I'm your resident Who's Your Daddy from the great state of Indiana. And it's a pleasure to be here once again to hang out with all you wonderful people. I love this lineup. I got Joe Lewis, I got Gibbs, I got Lactoid, and I got that damn bastard from Michigan. It's great. Love you guys. I can't wait for this one.
Yeah, this is going to be great. So we're going to start with the buying votes issue.
Real quick, point of order. I just want to say there was an incorrect, unfactual statement made. Texas just won the World Championships for barbecue for the second year in a row last month. So just saying, our barbecue's great. Georgia barbecue is microwaved, and Michigan is barbecue is refried ass. I don't want to anyway. Sorry, continue. Couldn't let that slide.
Oh no, I don't believe him.
Your
All right.
opinions are terrible.
Cash for votes. Should this be legal? Where does this land? Cards Against Humanity is getting involved in the U.S. election in a very unhinged way. The website for his campaign is truly something to see. It's time to face reality. Get off your ass and cast your fucking ballot. This year, if you didn't vote in 2020, Cards Against Humanity will pay you to apologize, make a voting plan, and publicly post Donald Trump as a human toilet. Up to $100 if you live in a swing state and lean blue. To do this, the company is apparently exploiting a legal loophole that it says should probably be illegal as of publication. 1,767 people have taken it up on its offer, although clicking on the Get Paid to Apologize button currently leads to a page that says it's down for maintenance. So how does Cards Against Humanity know that someone didn't vote in 2020 or that they lean blue? Well, it did a perfectly reasonable thing and apparently formed a super PAC, an independent political action committee that is allowed to raise funds but isn't allowed to contribute or coordinate directly with parties or candidates, and then bought the personal voting record of every American citizen from a data broker found on the internet. To pay for this campaign, Cards Against Humanity is asking citizens and permanent residents to donate $7.99 to a super PAC. In return, they will receive a 2024 election pack of 30 cards that are going to go toward paying for this. So in the juxtaposition, Elon Musk's daily $1 million giveaway to registered voters could be illegal, experts say. While stumping for former President Donald Trump on Saturday, tech billionaire Elon Musk announced that he will give away $1 million each day to registered voters in battleground states, immediately drawing scrutiny from election law experts who said the sweepstakes could violate laws against paying people to register. We want to try to get over 1 million people, maybe 2 million voters in the battleground states to sign the petition. Oh, had some issues with my OBS. That's all better, I hope. We want to try to get over 1 million, maybe 2 million voters in the battleground states to sign the petition in support of the First and Second Amendment. We are going to be awarding $1 million randomly to people who have signed the petition every day from now until the election, Musk said at a campaign event in Harrisburg, Pennsylvania. The ex-owner and Tesla CEO was referring to a petition launched by his political action committee, another PAC, affirming support for the right to free speech and to bear arms. The website launched shortly before some registration deadline says this program is exclusively open to registered voters in Pennsylvania, Georgia, Nevada, Arizona, Michigan, Wisconsin, and North Carolina. So how do we feel about this? Starting with Gibbs.
Yeah, I mean, this seems like a real interesting, dangerous game, but, I, for one, welcome them to bringing back Tammany Hall to, I guess, national politics. I mean, if the people really want to play Who's Your Daddy with paying for votes, I mean, let's fucking do it. I feel like conservatives have more money. We're better with the economy. Liberals and lefties live off handouts. Of course, being paid sounds good, so let's pay them, I guess, and then they can vote for our people, because we're definitely going to outspend them on that. Secondly, I mean, there's not really, this might be illegal, who knows, I don't really care. I'll say this, I don't see any functional difference between this and Joe Biden saying, hey, vote me in and I'll send out the checks next week.
Hey, Joe Lewis.
Yeah, you're running into streaming difficulties, and I guess on the stream end. I just wanted to give you a heads up on that.
Yeah, it's not up, by the way.
OBS is tripping.
Yeah. I'm sure you probably see that. We should probably get rid of super PACs and PACs generally. That seems to be the most reasonable position. I don't see why anybody would support something like this on either end of it. I think Elon's situation is a bit more pervasive than the Cards Against Humanity situation. So I'm not too sure if it's fair to compare the two one to one because they kind of exist in different contexts. That being said, we need to have and really work on better ways to increase voter turnout. I think that's really the core of it. Where when I'm looking at this just seems like a bunch of people who don't know why people aren't voting. They don't know what to do. So they're just kind of trying to throw everything at it in the hopes that something works. And that's unfortunate. It's very unfortunate. And so how else to describe it? I just wish more people voted. And I think that the lack of voting in the United States is a sign of just apathy towards just the entire process, and that's not necessarily something I support. So hopefully we can have that discussion about constructive ways that we can get more people going out to vote for elections, because the vast majority of people, in this case Americans, do not vote, period. So even with these efforts for Elon Musk and these efforts of Cards Against Humanity, it's going to go in vain. Like, you might see a couple percentage boosts in turnout, maybe, but that's all you'll probably see.
All right. Thank you, Joe. Having some issues with OBS. I'm going to restart OBS right now.
Yeah, I was going to say, it's very nice as a member of the Hispanic community to be a part of ABE tonight.
Oh, even better. Okay, I'm just going to see about getting this restarted right now. It's the first time it's ever done this, so...
And you're in a hype train.
Of all the timing, amazing timing. Let me get this fixed back up.
How do you feel about being part of ABE tonight?
He's done it before.
Are you just saying that because there's two black guys on the panel? Once I don't.
No, I'm saying that because his title says Prime's ABE.
Oh, okay, that's better.
Yeah, I didn't change the.
There's two black guys. You act like there's no panels with black people ever.
I'm on one every Monday.
Mm-hmm.
Let me fix this. In task on OBS. Reopen.
Prime's favorite conservative, right?
Yeah, that's right.
Starting.
How you been, Lactoid?
I've been good. How you been?
Busy as fuck, dude.
Yeah. It's both a good and a bad thing, though, right? You want to stay busy.
Ooh, level 2 hype train. Let's go.
You're at a level 2 hype.
You're not even doing anything.
It's actually
another 100 videos.
It's actually been a pretty good busy for me, so I'm pretty happy about that. But if anyone missed the memo, I leveled up to 33 yesterday, so hype.
Woo.
Level to 33 what?
Years. Años.
I'm 33 years.
Tú tengo
sorry about that.
33 años, papá.
Muchas gracias, señor.
I don't celebrate my birthdays anymore. They make me sad.
Pobrecito.
What? I'm 41. How do you think I feel?
every single time it reminds me of that one of Dream Theater.
Okay,
it's like every breath I take is one less to my last, and then it's like, you think about that, it's really depressing.
No, what's the expression? The minute you wake up, the minute you're born, you start dying.
Yeah, I don't celebrate it though. Is what I'm saying.
Embrace it. Life is death.
I reluctantly accept it. Okay, that's where I'm at with it.
Fight against the dying.
Life is suffering. That's all there is.
Yeah, it says it's reconnecting, but it just keeps saying OBS disconnected, reconnected. Let me see.
Dinosaur slobs.
Get your shit together.
Ricky got.
Yeah, the only thing I can think of is my homie left his server on today, but I don't think he would do that.
Gibbs, what's your cat's names?
I have Boba Cat instead of Boba Fett, and then we have Garfield because it looks like Garfield.
That's right. That's right.
Nice.
Yeah, cat. Come over here.
Alex, how's businessman?
Busy, very busy. I didn't really cut like the only person that knows about this is Lethe, but so
we'll see how long that lasts.
But yeah, last Saturday, not Saturday, but like the Saturday before last, we had to put our 16-year-old dog Falcor to sleep, so it was kind of rough.
I love the name too.
Yeah, he was a good boy, but it's just like he had a. It's a long story. I'll tell you offline. So
he's 16. I get it. Like that's all you had to say.
Yeah. So yeah, we missed him though. So, but you know, it is what it is. But I don't want to bring down the mood. I don't want to bring down the mood. So.
I mean, I can definitely bring down the mood if we need to.
Nah, man, I'm trying to have fun tonight.
I mean, if anybody would be capable.
True. All right, Lethe, get back to it before I bring down the mood.
All right, so we were on Lactoid.
Yes.
Well, so I'll just start with a couple things. I know it's not open panel, but I actually do support super PACs. I think that they're fine and consistent with the First Amendment. So I think it'll be interesting to work that into this discussion because I think it is relevant. In terms of whether or not this is vote buying, I've thought about this for a while, and that was my initial thought too when I saw this, when I saw what Elon was doing. I just found out about what Cards Against Humanity is doing when Lethe sent me the topics. And it seems like they're doing kind of, they're trying to copy Elon's plan here. And like, how do we kind of weasel our way around paying people to register to vote? Because that's essentially what the goal is, even if that's not what's actually happening. I think it's probably legal what's happening. I think it's probably legal because, I mean, the laws are pretty narrow in terms of, you can't pay people to vote for you, and you can't pay people to register to vote. But technically, neither of these are really doing that, right? And so for Elon in particular, you're not being paid to register. You are being paid to sign the petition. You just have to be registered in order to sign the petition, which I understand is like, it feels weird because obviously we don't have to have our heads in the sand. The obvious goal that Elon has here is to get people to think, oh shit, I got to go register to vote so I can sign the petition so I can get the $47 or the $100 now. I'm pretty sure it's in Pennsylvania, or the shot at the $1 million, right? That's obviously the goal. But the way he's going about it, I don't think it's illegal. And the more that I think about it, I mean, this would obviously be illegal. But I guess just more on a philosophical question. I'm not super sold on the idea that like vote buying is necessarily all that extreme or different than regular politics. Politicians engage in what is essentially retroactive vote buying all the time, right? They identify key demographics. They identify. Oh boy, he's having road rage.
No. You stole my point. I hate you.
Sorry, not road rage, lactoid rage. Well, I'm gonna go ahead and fully steal it now. I'm not sold on the idea that it's all that different, right? Because you have instances where you could identify a demographic, say, okay, these people, they want this thing. How can I boost my my voter share with this group? Well, I'm going to promise them some kind of monetary gain. What really made me think about this was when Andrew Yang, I think, was up on stage and he specifically said, like, in defense of his UBI, he said, like, vote for me and you'll get a check every month or something along these lines. And that sounds very much like vote buying, but technically it's not because it's after the fact. So as long as we allow politicians to run on any kind of redistribution, it seems like vote buying is the same, just preliminary. It's like just before the fact. So I'm not fully sold on the fact that vote buying is all that different. But obviously it's different legally because it's illegal. But I don't think what Elon is or what Cards Against Humanity are doing is necessarily illegal. I think that they're towing a very thin line, and it could become illegal if they make a misstep. But I think they're being pretty careful about it. And I'm sure they both have a cadre of attorneys that are helping them figure out exactly how to do this.
Right. And next we have Alex.
Okay, so first things first. I now have to do a little bit of fact checking right here. So Mr. Gibbs said that conservatives are best with money and stuff like that, even though it's blatantly obvious that the 10 poorest states of the United States, the majority happen to be conservative. We're talking about Oklahoma, Arkansas, Tennessee, Alabama, Mississippi, Louisiana, Kentucky, very conservative states, some of the poorest regions. So they're obviously not that great with money, it seems. So anyway, but that's beside the point. So when it comes down to this topic here about Elon Musk buying and like Cards Against Humanity is, I don't know how I feel about that, honestly. I maybe I just didn't do enough research on it, but like when I looked into it, it's like, so you're willing to like get more information, like who you voted for, essentially. Like I get it's more of like a troll game because Cards Against Humanity is very much a troll game. It's a really fun game. I play it all the time with friends all the time, but it just I don't know how I feel about this one. But what Elon Musk, from what I understand about that, there are election law experts are saying that he could actually be held liable, or he actually could be held account for, I think it's 52 USC 10307. It's a federal law that says whoever pays or offers to pay or accepts payment either for registration to vote or voting shall be fined not more than $10,000 or imprisoned not more than 5 years or both. Now, that's just like what the penalty could be. But is this shady? You better fucking believe it, okay? And the reason why I say this, right, is because in the state of Georgia, during the 2020 election, people were waiting 8 to 10 hours to vote, and some people couldn't get out of line. And what they were doing is they were actually handing out water and like snacks to people. Brian Kemp actually made a law to where you can't do that anymore, which is pretty absurd because there are people in some areas that they have to wait hours upon hours in line just to go vote. Now, in some states, you can't vote early. You can only vote like a couple of days prior and stuff like that. And people have to take time off of work to go vote and stuff. And you're going to sit and wait in this really long ass line to go vote, essentially. And you can't get any water because it could possibly sway the election. It could sway it towards a particular party. But yet, for some reason, we're going to accept the fact that this guy, Elon Musk, who is obviously shown who is going to support this election. I'd be against this even if it was the Democrat Party doing this, because the best way to get people to go out and register to vote is to educate people like Stacey Abrams did in Georgia by educating people. This is how you vote. This is how you register to vote. This is where you go to register to vote, essentially. It didn't matter like what party they registered for. She was educating people on how to go out there to register. But Elon Musk is obviously, because he's the richest man in the world, he's incentivizing people to go out to register to vote. And then he's obviously going to try to bring people to come in this direction because, hey, who's not going to say no to $1 million? I mean, it's very shady, and it could be illegal. But again, I'm not a legal expert, but this is what some legal experts are saying.
All right, and Tiberius.
Yeah, I'm going to go about this in a little bit of a roundabout way because my good friend Lactoid here stole my rib and my thunder. God damn it! All right, anyway. First things first, I'm not going to talk about the legality portion because I don't know and I haven't had time to research. And even if it is, there's a level where this can go up against state election laws, which there's 50 states, but there's also, the federal government and its election laws. So I ain't got that kind of time. Lactoid, you're letting me down here on that front a little bit, dude. So fuck you. Number two is that when it comes down to this as a general issue, here's the rip. Our republic is founded upon, in its election system, that we are basically supposed to have our votes by. I'm supposed to, if I'm an elected representative, telling you what I'm going to do for you if you elect me. So even if you say, okay, well, you're not outright paying me, I'm still supposed to be doing shit for you. So the difference to me is largely moot. The other level of this is that should it be illegal, right? Do we have moral quandaries against it? I can say, like, from the top, like, it makes me feel a little icky, but then if I go, like, past that surface level, I am with Lactoid on this one. what the fuck is the difference? Why are we getting like our panties in a bunch for shit that like it literally, you pay people to do it after the election, like it would literally be okay. If Congress writes a bill saying, hey, we're going to forgive student loans to our primary voters, that being the Democrats, that's completely fucking okay. Like, there's no difference here. There really isn't. So, ethically speaking, moralistic speaking, there's no difference. Technicality wise, there's a difference. So, I will happily like spar a little bit over the super PACs thing, over like how unethical or like how ethical this actually is. But I don't have much of a problem with it outside of just an ick factor.
All right, opening up the conversation.
Yeah, I just want to say real quick before we move on that it's not Tiberius, it's not Lactoid that stole your opening. Y'all actually both just copied my opening. Really, I was the one who said there was no difference. All right, just to be clear, no big deal.
I'm sorry. He said it with intelligence. I must have not translated that well.
Yeah, that's okay. I understand that you're confused and can't understand what intelligence is, but
true. Right, I am a moron. All right. Anyway, let's get to it.
So I think that actually the student loan forgiveness is like a great. That's a great one to point out. Like, if you're going to run, knowing that like college grad, like you've identified a demographic that is more likely to support you, right? What's like really the difference between saying, okay, I want this demographic to come out and vote and be more active, right? So my policy is going to be a direct financial handout to them, which debt forgiveness is. What would be the difference between that and more of just like I'm going to pay like this group X amount of money to come and vote, right? To come and vote for me. I'm struggling. I understand there's like a difference in order, but there's really no difference in principle. Like you're attempting to attain the same thing with the same motivations in mind.
One's a campaign promise and the other's like going beyond the purview of a campaign promise. You can make a promise that you're going to forgive people's student loans, but that doesn't mean it's going to be actualized into existence unless you can articulate how you're going to do that. And then if how you're going to do that is within the lines of what currently exists within the framework, you can obviously use it as a policy position that you can advocate for. What we've shown is that that doesn't work. So even in the advocacy of student loan forgiveness is met with a bunch of legal challenges. So even when a politician says, I'm going to forgive your student loans, most people who are reasonable voters will know, like, okay, that's just bullshit. Like, the practicality of it is that the morality of the case is there, but the actual practicality isn't. So you can win the moral argument of student loans, but you're never going to win the practical argument of how you're going to implement it.
Can I go quickly respond? Because I just want to say, like, I don't think that the efficacy really matters here, because you could promise to pay someone to vote and then just don't pay them. Right? There's no actual guarantee that you can get the money from them. Right. Well, I mean, arguably that would be just as much fraud as if you promise people that you're going to like get college like student loan forgiveness done and then you don't. Right.
Well, that depends on like how you want to do it, right? Which is why the specifics matter. Like if you are going to say, hey, I'm going to go out, I'm just gonna make a very basic like example. Hey, I'm going to go directly after the banks responsible for the shady interest rates and the shady contract agreements that students got into. And I'm going to use that to build toward the class action settlement against these banks. And you try and fail, that's not exactly fraud. You're still attempting to do a thing that you promised to do and it didn't get actualized. The thing that I'm pushing on is that people don't care about that. Like if you're going to make a promise to do something, do it. But if, like for me, for my politic, for my ideology, I don't give a shit how hard you try. If you fail, you fail. So, and if you fail, then it doesn't matter to me. But in the case of like, hey, I'm going to give you money and then if I give you this money, I'm going to vote for you, and then you don't follow through with that after the fact, then that's closer to fraud than somebody not.
It could be fraud, but it's not necessarily fraud. We can imagine another scenario where somebody
closer,
right? Arguably it could be closer, but this is why I'm highlighting that the principle is not all that different, because you could have somebody promise to pay people, and then like, oh, too many people all of a sudden like did it, and way more money is owed than I have. And now I'm fucked. And this person's trying to Exactly. Don't make the promise unless you're positive you can deliver. But Biden made the promise when it comes to student loan forgiveness.
He had
And
the
the checks,
argument.
and the checks being sent out tomorrow.
I-
We're
Well,
gonna put those checks.
Like he
Yeah.
had the.
Oh.
He
I
had
really want to
the-
get in this.
Yeah,
Well,
go for
Alex
it.
has his
Well,
hand up. I can't
yep.
see your hand, but
Yeah. So here's the thing. Like, we need to understand something. What the student loan forgiveness is. It's not like if I take out a $60,000 student loan debt and I'm like, and I haven't paid much into it, it means it's automatically be forgiven. The student loan bit is basically people that took out loan debts years and years ago. They've already paid their debts. Now because like the majority of student loan debts that you pay into, the majority of the debt you're paying into is not actually the debt itself. You're paying interest in these loans, and these are not fixed rate interest loans essentially. So these people have essentially paid
That's
their
mortgages
student
too, by the way.
loans. It is okay.
That they
so,
agreed to. That they agreed to, for the record.
well, hold on. Let me finish. I let everybody else finish. Okay. Okay. If you actually get a mortgage though, you can negotiate for a fixed rate income, like I did for my mortgage essentially. Now it could change over the years, but that's something between you and your realtor. But we're talking about like the fact that student loans are very predatory. It's actually proven that they are very predatory because they say, hey, listen, you can pay off your student loan in 10 years. And guess what? It's 20, 30 years later and you're still paying off your student loans. Like you could actually buy your house. You could actually buy a car and pay out that sooner than you can because of how they extend out your student loans. You're basically already paying off. Your student loans have been paid off like 5 or 6, maybe in 10 years ago. This basically says, hey, listen, now it's forgiven. Now, this whole concept of like comparing student loans to what Elon Musk is doing is completely ridiculous because people he's insisting that people come and register to vote, and it's going to drive people to want to vote for Trump because Elon Musk has tied himself to Donald Trump. What Joe Biden said is like, we will forgive student loans that you have already paid into that we're just going to forgive. But the thing is, here's what's funny about it. If we're going to talk about student loans, it's amazing like how the same people say, oh, well, it's not my responsibility to pay for people's student loans. Well, guess what? You've basically made it responsible to pay for PPP loans for people that make 6 figures that can afford to pay off those loans. You've forgiven those loans. There was no outrage for that. There was also like bailouts we've done for the top. Okay, you were outraged, fine. Okay, and the top 1% that got tax cuts and bailouts, essentially, did we have an outrage for that? I mean, seriously, let's be consistent here.
Yeah, bailouts, yes. Tax cuts, no. So a couple corrections. When we're talking
tax
about
cuts are good, bailouts bad.
Right. Yes, exactly. When we're talking about like
wait. Lactoid, I love you, but I want to go here for a minute because I want to respond to both of these. To where Joe is like I'm kind of with Lactoid here to a degree. So like I want to needle you on this in the regards of like, okay, you're on the fact of it's like, okay, if you do it or not, you succeed, then you're like, I don't care or I do care, which I'm totally with. The issue is that on a lot of levels, we know what's actually being proposed right now is far more likely to be successful than what actually is like proposed legislatively, right? So I can say, I'm going to give you the student loan relief, or I'm going to give you a $2,000 stimulus check if you vote for me. And that's more likely to be failed than not. So if anything, I kind of look at the more ethical thing, at least on a level, not always, but on a level where like the shit that's going on now with Elon and Cards Against Humanity is actually better. It's actually moral, and like more moral, in the regard of like they can deliver and the government can't. So like do you get where I'm going with this at all, man?
Yeah, I mean, they should then just go full throat and double down on that. Like Elon Musk could give everybody $1,500 stimulus checks in the stopgap during the pandemic before the government could even like wag a finger and get the legislation on the table. But Elon Musk doesn't want to do that. He doesn't want to like actually say, hey, the government is. And listen, I totally support government. How do I say this in a way that makes sense? I support people stop-gapping government fuckery. So if Elon Musk said, hey, it does not look like that this student loan shit is going to be actualized, I'm just going to give you money and you can use it to however you see fit. I'd support that. I wouldn't even care. Like, for most people, they'll do the logical thing. Like, hey, if you don't like, and again, like he can make the stipulations however he wants to. I do not care. Like, but at the same time, like if he goes like, hey, I'm going to promise to forgive, let's say $15,000 towards your loans. All you have to do is prove that you've been employed gainfully, and you can make the parameters of gainfully for, let's say, 10 years. 10 years, you can prove it. Here's 15K. I wouldn't care. Like, and honestly, I think Republicans would support something like that, or at least should, because in reality, like, if we're talking about like the student loan thing directly, and this is getting really far in the weeds, I'm sorry for this long response, is the problem that I see is that there's only one group that's been defrauded by the government because of student loans, and that's the working class. Those who are currently working are the ones who got frauded. They got lied to. They got tricked by the federal government, and they got groomed to be beholden to banks. And nobody wants to actually like engage with that part and say like, hey, these people were lied to. These families did not have the financial aptitude to understand the loans that they were going into, and they just thought that, hey, these degrees would be enough, and it's proven that that's not the case. It's the case for some people, but those who need it the most are still working to try to pay something off that they won't. So let's just cut them a break and just call it a day. But
I gotta fight against this.
Because you guys want to
Sure you do. Like,
do that meritocracy.
I gotta fight against
same
both.
Argument. It's like the same argument for the 9,000.
No. I'm not even gonna get into philosophy here. Just like the facts are just all over the fucking place, and they're just incorrect. Okay. I'll explain. I'll explain the facts.
I was responding to Tiberius though. So
yeah, and there was misfacts being stated by both you and Alex, and I really. It's making me angry. I gotta.
Tiberius was engaging respectfully, right? Tiberius was engaging with me. So if there was something that he thought that was inconsistent, he can use that with his response.
We call this running. Is what's happening
I'm pretty sure. I'm pretty sure this is like this is a 5-person panel. I think that it's fair that we can like jump in.
This is a Tiberius Joe Circlejack.
Let Tiberius respond.
Like, do I get in there?
Yeah. Am I allowed? Like, or no?
Yeah. Look, okay, Lactoid. I get where there's
you and Tiberius.
Yeah, like, look, Lactoid, I know there's a few things in there that you want to tag on. I largely agree with most of what he said, but I'm sure your qualms are as good as mine, so I'm just pinning that for a second. I'm going to go after Alex for just a second, and then I'll turn it over. Alex? All right, so Alex.
Yes?
Largely where I was going with you is that getting into the methodology versus, like, the difference of, like, student loans versus what everything else is, I don't really care to have that conversation. I do appreciate, like, the double standard conversation that the same people who are totally fine with, like, the PPE loans getting, like, fucking nuked are the ones bitching and moaning and complaining about student loans. However, that's not all the same people either. So there's a level where I'll split with you on that. I definitely, and I've kind of hit TOS on this a little bit before, but so I'll put it in the reference notion here, is that Lethe and a number of these guys can vouch about Super Bowl explosions during the halftime show regarding bankers during the 2008 2008 banking crisis. And I still know people that are fucking pissed that never happened. No one went to jail. No one was killed. And yet, 1 out of 10 households was foreclosed upon? Yeah, people are hella mad about that shit. And I think people still are. So, like, I will totally engage with, like, where we're going to go, like, 1,000 different directions with this conversation. But long story short, I still want to tag on the efficacy of, hey, is this really that different between saying, I'm going to help get your student loans forgiven versus, hey, I'm going to give you a stimulus check, or no, I'm just going to pay you up front. Please vote for me.
Well, the reason here's my problem with the whole thing, though, because I brought up in my opening how Georgia flipped their lid about people getting handed out water and bread, and the conservative base was all about, it's like, yes, this is definitely something we should go along with. We should definitely make sure that people are not giving like water and snacks to get in a fucking voting booth, because I've lived in Georgia. It's ungodly hot down there year round usually. So if you're going to tell me that giving people water so they don't fall the fuck out in the middle of a voting line it's complete taboo to do something like that. But yet rewarding somebody with like, obviously you're trying to bring them onto your base and give them $1 million. I mean, if Oprah Winfrey was to do the same thing, except she was going to give you like $2 million, you could bet your bottom dollar the conservative base would be losing their fucking minds over this. But because it's happening with Elon Musk and Donald Trump, they're like, yes, we absolutely love this because we love Elon Musk because he's a savior of the First Amendment. He's savior of free speech, which is also skeptical. So I just, well, here's the thing: is like there's no consistency here. If the Democrats are doing this, I would possibly have a problem with it. But the thing is, like the student loan is not the same thing to what Elon Musk is doing. It's not even remotely the same, honestly.
That's my point. It is. Now, I got to correct a couple things now. Thank you. So when we're comparing it to a mortgage, the reason why I compared it to a mortgage is because people will say things. This is very common about student debt specifically, which is like, oh, look, the interest turns out to be higher than the actual loan, or I've been making payments all this time and I still owe money. And of course, they're making the absolute minimum payment, and their loan is they're frustrated because they're able to make an incredibly small loan because the federal government allows you to make very small payments, and there's a level of frustration with that. But the problem is frankly, it's a little bit economically illiterate, right? Because money now is worth more than money later, right? The stock market has about a 7 to 10% return, which means that if you take that money and put it in the stock market, if the interest rate if you take a loan and the interest rate you're paying is less than 7%, which by the way, federal college loans have been consistently over the last like 2 decades, then yeah. You are getting a good deal, because if that money was instead put in the stock market, it would grow significantly, right? So this is why some kids have taken the student loans and have illegally bought stocks with it. Now, the question is, okay, sure, it is a good deal in terms of the interest rate. The interest rate is actually not predatory. It's actually good when you factor in that it's beating stock market returns. Well, what about the actual degree? It's obviously worthless, but that's also not true, right? There's been numerous analyses on this. Having a college degree, on average, the average person does better with a college degree once they get it, right? Their overall earnings, the amount of earnings they get, exceeds the amount of debt that they pay and the interest on the debt that they pay, right? It is a good investment, generally speaking. This is why over 70% of all this college debt is held by the top 3/5 of income earners. College debt is primarily a wealthy, like upper middle class issue, right? It's primarily people who make a lot of money because, again, college graduates tend to make a lot more money than non-college graduates. They tend to make a whole bunch of money, and they're looking for a handout. That's what this is. I think it's very comparable.
Handout.
It's absolutely very comparable. Like economically speaking, people begging for student loan forgiveness just simply don't have a leg to stand on.
Well, I mean, Lactoid, look what group of graduates are asking for this. It's the people with degrees that don't make money. Like
it's anybody. It's people with any degrees, right? Look, if you're an engineer,
they're arguing for this. But this is Lactoid. They're arguing for this.
That's dumb as shit.
No, it's not dumb as shit. And I'll tell you why. Because I actually looked this up. We talked about this week, and we have the stats on it.
Sure.
Art degrees and gender studies degrees only make about $4,000 more than the national poverty line once they graduate. So when these people over here asking for loan, no, I'm sorry, I don't have any sympathy. You don't get a loan forgiveness just because you picked a dumbass degree. Sorry, I don't care. And I'll even include that to other liberal arts degrees like poli-sci and whatnot.
Since you study the data, do people with gender studies degrees stop at what level of education?
Most of them stop at the bachelor's level and then end up having to work as a barista at Starbucks. You should know this,
That's in the data that you looked
Yeah,
up?
it's in the data. It's in the data. No, I'm telling you facts.
Now, just to be clear, I don't know the specific data for gender studies degrees, but my claim was just generally like people who go to college and get degrees out earn people who don't, and the amount that they out earn is more than the debt that they pay. It is a good deal still to go to college, and the loans that the government gives you to go to college are better than the stock market, it's like lower than the stock market returns, which means it is a good loan. These are not payday loans. These are not predatory loans. The reason why they're looking for this is that they're already making more money, generally speaking. They just want more money, and they want to vote for somebody who will give them more money.
Hey, thank you, Jenny.
I think it's a reasonable Lactoid to say.
Well,
not every degree engages in the economy in the same ways. And when you have degrees that don't engage in the economy in the same ways, there's going to be certain gaps that exist in people's abilities to pay off those loans. An example is this that comes to mind, probably a popular one, is teachers. Most teachers, if they were to pay their loans, even to go over, depending on their track, it would take a significant amount of time to do that, depending on the state that they're in. Now, my concern again is towards people who are in these forgiveness programs already and are getting the can kicked down the road. And there's a lot of teachers who are in that bucket where they were promised a thing, they did their work towards that thing, and then it's just getting stalled. And that's where I think that, hey, it's fair to say that these people at the very least are being manipulated, or at least getting strong armed to, like, hey, just keep working. I promise this will work out for you. And that to me seems very fraudulent. Now, I'm not here like to talk about the legality of it. That's kind of irrelevant to me. But I do think it's fair to say that, hey, we need to help these people in ways that we see substantive, because clearly the federal government is not doing what's necessary. That's where I think somebody like Elon Musk could step in and be like, hey, they're giving you the fucking runaround. There's not that many of you, and I'm rich, so here you go. Do whatever you see fit. Now, some of them might use the money towards their loans. Great, good for them. Some might use it for other things in their material conditions. Great, good for them. But
yeah, I mean, if Elon Musk wants to give money to people to whatever, like I'm not opposed to that, right? If he wants to give people to pay off their loans or to give it to teachers, that'd be great. Good for him. I got no problem with that. My question is just like, when people are voting for this, or when people are, voting for this, like I'm struggling to see like the huge difference between, like, what if instead of like paying somebody directly for a vote, they would pay off some of your student loan? How about, like, what if that was the case? Like, some Democrat ran and said, if you vote for me, I will give you $1,000, like I will pay off $1,000 of your student loan. How is this all that different than running saying I'm going to forgive $1,000 of student loan once I get elected? Seems like a difference in timing.
Based on the language, I think it would be explicitly illegal.
It would be, yeah.
Based on what you're describing. So
well,
I don't know what we're talking about right now.
I'm talking about in terms of like principle, right?
Because law, hold on, he just said legality.
Laws can be arbitrary, right? We can just decide laws are a certain way.
Yeah.
Well, here's what I don't. Go ahead, Joe. Go ahead.
Yeah, I guess the confusion I have here is, like, at the end of the day, the goal for this, whether it be Elon Musk, Cards Against Humanity, is highlighting a clear problem. Voter turnout is embarrassing in every state in the country. People aren't voting. People are not engaging in the political process. And then we run into this cycle every election, and every single time a president does a bad, or a federal politician does a bad, that, your lives will be much better if you guys just show up and vote. And then when the finally goes, well, why are they not voting? And then all of a sudden they have no idea what's going on. So it seems like both of these groups, whether it be the PAC of Cards Against Humanity and Elon Musk, are suggesting that if we just give these people money, then they'll be enticed to show up, then they'll be enticed to vote, and I don't necessarily think that's the case.
But that's the Democratic platform forever. Hold on. Like, that's been the Democratic platform forever. Look, if you look at this, they've been like running on welfare for however long. Something like what was it? I had the stats from Forbes earlier. Here they are. Forbes says 58% of low-income voters are Democrats. Why is that? It's because Democrats advocate for handing them a check every month, whether it be EBT or some other welfare program. There's no difference between this and Elon going, hey, like, it's not it's not functionally different in any form. It's not functionally different. Yeah. It's just ridiculous for people to sit here and go, oh, it's so bad Elon's doing it, when the Democrats have been doing it since, forever. I don't know when they started, but it's been their platform forever.
Is welfare in the room right now? I don't think Alex and I ever suggested that, like, yay, Democrats in the Democratic Party are predatory towards poors. Like,
I'm suggesting that.
Thank you, Blizzard and Alpha Wasabi, for the subs.
Yeah, but I never said that that's like a good thing.
We're suggesting it's vote buying, is what we're like. That's the argument.
The same exact thing. Yeah.
Okay.
So how is that any different? What like Elon's doing though? Like he's actually like saying, "Hey, listen,
y'all are mad that he's doing what the Dems have been doing for 40 years."
Would you be mad? Well, okay. Would you be mad if Oprah Winfrey did it?
Well, the government's already doing
Wait. Cards
I-
Against Humanity is already
It's
doing
bad.
it.
We can just admit that it's bad and move on.
Cards Against Humanity is already doing
Well,
it
I
for
already-
the Democrats, right?
No, y'all are just
I-
making that Elon's even the playing field. Is what it is.
What? Okay.
So what?
Lethe, what did I say at the beginning of the panel? What did I say at the beginning? I don't know how you feel about what Cards Against Humanity is
You
doing.
said lactoid right as usual, and then we moved on.
That's
from
what I
that.
heard.
What the fuck? I never said that. Come on now. Listen.
That's what I
I'm
heard.
pretty sure you said that. I don't know.
I said no such thing, okay? I said, now you're trying to put words in my mouth, okay? Come on. Ain't gonna work.
Next, they're gonna call you Hitler, like they
So,
called
so
Trump.
as somebody, and you can just
That was JD Vance.
let's
Nobody else
roll.
did that.
Let's roll with just assuming that I'm correct on this. I did read about the Cards Against Humanity, and it does seem to be actually like slightly even more suspect because unlike Elon Musk, where all you got to do is be a registered voter, Cards Against Humanity checks your voting record to see if you lean blue, and you'll only get the money if you've in the past voted Democrat, which is like, again, not technically voting.
That points to that because that link no longer exists.
Well, I'm saying that was in the article that Lethe sent us for today.
Yeah, that's why I asked if you had the link.
Yeah,
But I guess you don't. That's cool. Great. Continue.
Yeah, it was in it's in the group chat.
But like, we all know who Elon's voting for. Everybody knows that Elon is pulling towards Donald Trump. So obviously, the majority of people that aren't like registered to vote is like, oh my god, free
100%.
money and vote for and I'm gonna vote for Donald Trump essentially. So it's the same fucking thing essentially. So why is it we're gonna be okay with what Elon Musk does? But like I said, I keep bringing up the state of Georgia where they say it's not okay to hand out water to people that are gonna stand in line for 8 to 10 hours because it's probably been the same thing. Why is that taboo? But yet, like what Elon Musk is doing is completely fine.
Okay,
I mean,
so let me ask you this, Alex. I want you to tell me the
No.
fundamental
Answer my question.
Wait.
It's kind of a good question, actually, right? Like, is driving somebody to the polls also vote buying? Like, this is difficult, right? I don't think handing out water is, frankly. I don't think that should be disallowed. I think you should be able to hand out water.
Yeah, I agree. It doesn't matter what.
Well, back to my question, though, that you still didn't answer earlier, right? So back to what I'm saying is, we've been sitting here going, oh, what Elon Musk is doing is so terrible, yada, yada. Well, okay. How is that any fundamental difference between something like, what does it say, 34% of people on SNAP said they would be opposed to cuts, right? Well, in that, okay, cool. Well, why would they be opposed to that? Well, that's because their handout that they're getting every week that is being cut. So they're sitting here going, hold on. That's no different than what Elon's doing. Hey, they're literally voting for somebody to give them a handout. That's exactly what it is.
Okay,
How about minimum wage? Hold on. Hold on. What's the difference between that and minimum wage? Minimum wage is literally determining more money being given to you because, that's required by the government. That's the exact same thing as Elon going, hey, here's cash. Like, there's no difference.
Not even. Honestly, like, okay, so first things first.
Can I just ask something real fast, so quick? So,
Yeah,
Fred, simple question. If Democrats were responsible, or at least believed to be responsible, for a particular policy, and the other party is being presented as the opposition to this policy, do you think it would be reasonable for people to think like, hey, as long as I continue voting for this group of people, this policy would still exist?
Do you understand my point, though?
Yes, this is why I'm asking.
So I would agree that it is reasonable to think that, hey, one group of people doesn't want me to get my literal check from the government every week or month or however y'all want to decide. And then, hey, I'm not getting paid, so I'm going to vote for the opposite. I would say, sure. Yeah, I can understand why they would not like that. I would also say,
are you opposed to SNAP benefits? Are you opposed to SNAP benefits?
Okay. Poor people.
Yeah, he obviously hates poor people.
No, I don't. Y'all hate poor people because y'all are sitting there.
No, we don't.
Y'all literally enslaving them to the Democratic Party instead of allowing them to benefit.
What is my hate?
Wait. Okay.
We took that money away. We could do all sorts of better things with it.
That's not what SNAP.
I don't know what my hatred of poor people has anything to do with this. Okay, we're talking about SNAP benefits.
Minimum wage. I was talking about SNAP benefits. We're talking about minimum wage. They're just focusing on one because they can't sit here and articulate any arguments against any of the other ones, which are literally handing them checks.
It's not handouts.
It's literally a handout. It's directly.
It's not a handout.
They are handouts, actually.
Snap is a handout.
Snap's not a handout.
It's not a handout. It is. It's definitely not. It's definitely not a handout.
How is Snap not a handout? I need the answer. How is Snap not a handout?
Do you know what SNAP is for?
Yeah, you get free money from the government for food.
Yeah.
That's the handout.
If I hand out food, that is a handout.
Bro,
If I walk up to you and hand you a piece of bread, is that a
Who's this
handout?
question directed at?
It's
Who's
not
this
a-
question directed at?
It's directed at me.
My question is for Alex. Like the
It's for me.
a handout is if you give away something of value for free. Does food have value?
Of course it does.
It is a handout,
Okay.
isn't it?
Oh no! Well, no. Hold on. Okay, so let me ask you a question. Does that mean that
bailouts are handouts?
Okay, it's not the same thing though, because like a bailout for a person that's a top 1%, it's not the same. It's not even close to the same. Okay,
I would call it a corporate handout.
It's literally a corporate handout.
It's not this. Okay. So if you're actually gonna say like a starving fucking family that's barely making minimum wage that needs that stuff,
they're taking handouts.
It's not a fucking handout, okay? How about you let me? It's not a fucking handout, okay? It's way different for somebody that's like on food stamps or on SNAP benefits because they have to like work multiple jobs, but they can't afford to actually.
If I hand you a slice of bread,
God damn it! Shut the fuck up! Jesus Christ!
Finish.
Jesus, I don't interrupt you, okay? Yeah, but anyway. Okay, yeah, okay. Go ahead, sweetheart. Okay, anyway. So as I was saying, like when it comes down to SNAP benefits, this is literally providing aid for people that like they work minimum wage jobs. Anyway, as I was saying, like this is to make sure they can actually provide food and make sure they keep food on the fucking table for their children. A corporate handout is people that make like billions of dollars essentially. They can like, what are they going to worry about? Oh my God, I can't afford the next yacht. So fucking feel bad for me and shit. Let me get a tax fucking cut handout. It's the same fucking thing to you. Let alone the fact that like, if you want to talk about a handout, people in the U.S. military get SNAP benefits. People in the U.S. military get housing allowances. Are you going to say those are handouts too? That's something
by definition, they would be handouts. Yes.
No, they're not handouts.
Whoa. What do you define as a handout? Like, can we clear this up?
Yeah, if I walked over to you and handed you a slice of bread, is that a handout?
I can try to explain.
Of course not. You guys finished this exchange on Tiberius.
You are retarded, sir.
The thing. The thing that I think Alex is pushing back at is this idea that SNAP does not have requirements to being within the program. You can't just apply and then congratulations, you get your check your mandatory minimum every month. For example, if you are
nobody argued that.
The age of, right, but that's the reason why he's pushing back, because the language is suggesting that those restrictions.
No, it's not. Nobody used that language.
Is language important? Language is important now. Hold on, I got it. Hold on. Is language?
Nobody used that language.
Hold on. I gotta go. Is language important? Language is important. So all right, well, I guess we're gonna do definition debate. Here's. Okay, let me.
People that I actually respect. How are we going into a prime panel?
Hold on. This is guys. Hold on, Tiberius. This is important. Something. This is the Merriam-Webster definition of a handout. Something given free to a needy person or organization. By definition, giving a corporate guy $1 million, which is I'm opposed to, and giving a person SNAP benefits, which I'm also opposed to, are both handouts. I hate to break to you. By every definition of the word.
Social Security is a handout. Disability is a handout. It's all a handout.
You failed. I'm sorry.
Disability is a handout. My pension's a handout. Okay, I'm sorry.
Disability is a handout for sure.
Disability is a handout. Pension.
You do realize why people get disability, right?
Because they need handouts.
Because they're disabled and they can't work.
Yeah, it's a handout. They're literally being handed out.
Not always.
All right,
so
like I gotta get into this.
I have 80% disability. Okay, I can still work.
Let Tiberius in here real quick.
Look, I want to end this, or I'm gonna have a fucking stroke. All right, two things here, real quick. First things first. Just as a clarifier, Joe, I haven't chat with you in a while. Can you remind me like why you want to increase voter turnout so much? Because like you're obviously pushing for that, but like I don't want voter turnout to increase. I actually want it to decrease because legitimately, I want it to decrease because I swear to Christ, my biggest problem with American politics right now is literally we have Parks and Recreation politics. We're appealing to the lowest common denominator. We have more people showing up than we have in a very long time, even though like statistically we're still at like 56% overall in average turnout. So it's like I don't want more personally. So like, can you tell me why you would want to needle at that? And then I've got to pick a fight with Alex.
Yeah, because when I understand that there's more than just the federal on the ballot, I take a deep issue at people mistaking the federal to be the full encapsulation of politics. So something that's on a lot of people's ballots, for example, are certain ballot initiatives that directly affect their community. And something that I don't want to see happen is a small group of people determining the political future of their community just because people don't know that these options and these things on ballots exist. Not every single federal election, I'm talking about the ones every 4 years, is going to have these sweeping ballots. But something that I've seen, I'm only speaking to New Jersey in this example, is that the turnout on ballots for ballot initiatives is incredibly low. It floats anywhere from 12 to 20% when there is a question towards something on a ballot. And then
Okay.
the
Yeah,
federal bumps up to
it's
that. You know what I'm
increasing
saying?
citizen buy-in because it's like, hey, look, this is an enterprise made by the citizens. We don't have enough citizens showing the fuck up, and you should care more. Which I kind of do agree with, but my general issue, and I would love to like have a one-on-one chat with you on this at one point, is just like the level of give a shit that people have just does not meet my criteria anymore. Like
Yeah, I agree.
okay, so like I would love to get in the weeds with you. All right,
Yeah, like to reinforce that a little bit, before you launch a plane, like
sure.
it's very funny how Democrats in this particular moment are going so heavily after Jill Stein and the third party broadly. And it's interesting to me because they're not trying to, and there's like examples of commentators saying this outright. They're not trying to understand why people are voting green. They're not trying to understand why voters are interpreting what's happening in Gaza as a genocide and how we ought to make better argumentation towards them to earn their vote. They're just trying to say, hey, fuck them. We're going to subvert their asses. We're going to make sure this bitch doesn't end up on the ballot ever again. And it's like, whoa, chill. The right doesn't even do that to libertarians. Like,
Okay.
and
Like
that stuff to me is
yeah,
like gross.
dude, you need to be around more. That's all I'm gonna say. Like me and you need to catch up if you get a chance. I know you're busy. I'm
Yeah.
busy as fuck. Like for real. But I do have some things up. Anyway, Alex. So I kind of got to reboot my thought process a little bit here. But like I'm kind of on like seven.
Ty, what's your thought on the handout question before you?
Well, that's kind of where I wanted to go to.
No, just yes or no. I just yes or no. I just want to know if that's a handout or not.
Yeah, we're wrapping this one up, so let's not get too in the weeds.
Is, yeah, snap a handout.
Snap specifically.
Okay, so is Snap a handout? So I was gonna say with my criteria, pretty much everything's a handout because the entire point of the government is to say, hey, look, or at least a representative republic of in a democracy government is, hey, vote for me so I can do shit for you. Right? That's literally the entire point of the government. It's like it's not just to sit there as a status quo emblem. It's to do shit for people. Whether you want tax cuts for your corporation because you're a fucking CEO or whatever, or you're a worker for that particular corporation, or it's hey, like I'm poor and I would really like a program that helps me make it affordable to where I can go to school while working 30 hours a week and balance that out because I tried that shit. And guess what happened when COVID went around? I got fuck all for unemployment because I was just sitting around doing what I'm supposed to do of investing myself and the entire economy collapsed and I got jacked. So like there's levels where it's all handouts. But what I want to get into with
the problem
Alex
with democracy,
a little bit,
but go ahead.
we will discuss that later, libertarian. Anyway, long story short with Alex. Like I'm with you on a point where like there is definitely a double standard among my fellow righties where it's just like they don't give a shit about Elon doing it because 9 times out of 10 they see Democrats openly putting out their hand and saying, "Hey, look, like we're going to try to do this for you." And it's not like it just pisses them off. But I like the part where I agree with you and disagree with you all at the same time is that I agree with you on the point where it's like Elon coming and dropping in. It's like, yo, $1 million. And like writers are just going to fucking like deal with, like just be like, hey, it's our guy. We're going to deal with it. It doesn't show principle. I will agree with you. Like there's no real major consistency in that. On the other side of it is your side has no legs to stand on here. You like your party. And I'm not trying to be a dick about this, but it is a real where it's like your party,
dick.
Yeah, your party has literally kind of been the biggest advocates for the last 80 years on like just trying to hand people money or trying to like pull people up on a lot of different levels. And there's like unironically, it feels like the Republicans are literally just trying to cut in your shoes, and you're pissed on it.
Okay, so here's the thing. Like, when it comes down to like, oh, the Democratic Party is like out there trying to like outstretch the hand. Okay, let's do a little bit of history check. Okay, when Ronald Reagan became president of the United States, what was one of the first things he did? He actually cut funding for all the social programs, and guess what he invested into? He invested towards defense spending. Why?
What a because
because he felt like, we have a huge threat to be concerned about. Like, we're over invested. Like, and like, here's the thing: I'm not against like investing in the military, but I just think that it's kind of gotten out of control. Essentially, I know Lactide would agree with me on this, but the fact of the matter is like they've done a lot of social spend. Like, Ronald Reagan believes in pulling ourselves up by the bootstraps. Even he didn't pull himself up by the bootstraps, for crying out loud. I mean, the guy fucking, like, he says. He said ridiculous things like, I'm from the government, I'm here to help. That's the worst thing you could possibly hear. The guy worked for the fucking government. So he basically undermined the fake, because the government is supposed to provide services. And all these guys say, oh, well, that's just a government handout. The government's not supposed to. Okay. So if you don't want the government to help you in regards to this, if you think like, okay, listen, I don't want to pay any more taxes, I don't want to like have to worry about the government come out here. Okay, then you don't get any more like fire department aid. If your house catches on fire, put it out your goddamn self. If you get into a fucking, altercation, you deal with yourself essentially. Like, here's the thing, like, being a tax-paying citizen, yeah, you might feel like, oh my God, I'm paying so much in taxes. Well, guess what? That's just the price you pay for living in a better country, essentially. There are countries across like that have a better standard of living. They pay high taxes, yes. But this means like we just need to actually if people worried about the fraud, waste, abuse within our government, okay, yeah, sure, fine. We can go over that. But there's fraud, waste, abuse all over, whether it's in the private sector or in the public sector. So pick your battles, essentially. If you want better accountability, great. I'm all for better accountability, where our tax dollars go towards. But if people's like, oh my God, I don't want these fucking freeloaders over here getting all this money, but yet, like, when these fucking churches over here get billions of dollars, they get fucking tax handouts all the fucking time. Nobody says a goddamn thing about that shit. But these guys fucking make millions of dollars, get Gulfstream jets off and shit. I mean, I'm not saying you, but it's just like
no. Like, you're good. The problem is every time that you go reply to me, there's like 7 different replies that
I'm sorry. I get up. I'm sorry. I'm sorry if I get scalp. I'm sorry.
There's a little bit of that, but it's more over where like I don't have a problem with you like airing out your grievances, because I've got some of them I share, and some of them it's like, all right, cool. Like, at least from your perspective, I can kind of get it, right?
Yeah.
Like the issues that I'm getting into right now is I want to get past the part of, oh, hey, evil Republicans that I don't like are doing this. Fuck off. Okay. Let's move past that to, hey, like, is there actually like a major difference between the advocacy of what the Republicans are doing versus the Democrats, like, moralistically speaking? Because I don't think they're like too far off. The only difference right now for me is that the voter blocks are changing. Democrats are going for richer people. They're going for more middle-class voters. They're going for more upper-class voters. While I'm watching Republicans actually try to go after lower-class voters, which is weird to me. But outside of that is that, for me, just original topic, original conversation, whether it's Cards Against Humanity, whether it's literally Elon Musk coming in, or whether it's policies saying, hey, we want to give tax breaks to big fucking oil, or we want to give tax breaks to fucking big green solar and wind. What is the difference between all 4 of those? Because I don't see a lot of difference there, like on an ethical level.
I want to jump in here real quick, and I want to talk about the history real quick. Since this is from vocabulary.com, a handout is something that a person is given to a person in need.
When did you turn into a leftist?
No, hold on.
Just hold on. The definition here.
Oh, you know what? Hold on, Tiberius. And there's a reason why I'm doing this, because sometimes you hold on. Shh. Well, you know what's painful every time you speak, so stop. Here we go here. So let me just keep going here. A handout is something given to a person in need. A useful handout is something that doesn't have a home, might be food, money, or clothing. All right, here's what's interesting. It goes further. The word handout, or anything the person's government, charity, or other organization freely donates to needy people. While the word, listen, while the word, and listen, y'all just bitched about me interrupting. Now y'all sitting interrupting me while I'm talking. Yada 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 yada. Like, listen, I can't even. Yeah, listen. I like y'all bitch about me interrupting. Then when I talk, every single time I'm interrupted about 2 sentences in. Let me just finish. I would like to finish. I have a whole point here, but yeah, okay, yeah. Okay, cool. Yeah, Jesus loves you. This I know. For the Bible tells me so. This little
come on.
hallelujah.
All right, let's jump.
Okay.
All right, so let's get through because we're gonna get to the next topic like right now.
Well, I would like to finish my point here since I got rudely interrupted after I got bitched
Is it
about
a point or
interrupting.
is it something?
It is a point. It is a point. It is a point.
That's a point.
Yeah, it is a point because the word handout originated in the 1880s, gained popularity in the Great Depression among so-called quote-unquote hobos, people who live on the entire charity of others, referring to specifically money, food, and shelter. Now, what's interesting about that's the literal definition of handout. That's the literal history of handout. And so everything Alex said about it not being a handout just means he's uninformed on this issue. He's wrong unequivocally. One more example of the Dems being wrong and uninformed. This comes back to another point. The Dems have sat here and advocated for years and years, handouts, we'll give them to you if you vote for us. And now the big reason Republicans are a big favor of what Elon Musk is doing is one thing that nobody's talked about is that Elon Musk is a private citizen doing this, not with our tax dollars, but with his own money reaching out and doing this. And the government's not taking our money to do it. Elon's doing this of his own volition. And you know what? He's also giving a handout. And guess what? He's doing it freely instead of wasting our tax dollars. And the Dems are just sad that the Republicans are doing it better than them once again, because everything Republicans do is better than what the Dems do.
Yeah,
cool.
The natives really appreciated their handouts. So, any other last thoughts? Anybody want to respond to what you said?
No, please.
I'm gonna make a final thought.
On to the next.
I'm gonna make a final. My final thought is look, obviously they're handouts, and I think going through all this, we talked about the student loan forgiveness, we talked about the PPP loans, we talked about all these things. Sure, all these things arguably are handouts, and when we're talking about buying votes, I think Ty is right when he says that this is sort of what democracy does. But I think this is the fact that this is what democracy does, I think is telling because the old adage, democracy is two wolves in a sheep voting on what's for dinner, I think holds true here. And whether you do it before the vote or whether you do it after the vote while promising before the vote, it appears to be the motivation is the same, which is vote for me and you'll get something. Vote for me and you'll get that other person something. But I think that Gibbs wrapped up beautifully by saying this is actually a little bit different because this is an instance of somebody saying, essentially, not directly, but essentially saying, register for Trump and I'll give you something, not other people's things, which I think is more moral. And even though, again, questionable, I think it is more moral. And I think Elon is better than the government when it comes to this case.
Well, it's so funny. It's so funny, how they're talking about, oh my God, Elon Musk, he's such a base giga chad because he's doing this own money. How many fucking handouts has this guy gotten from the government? Oh, $15.4 billion government contracts in the past decade.
Fair point.
I would say too many.
Who gave him that money? Who gave him that money?
Two things here. Number one, if there was ever, I know we do. I don't want to open up a whole nother can of worms, but at least on the Elon SpaceX conversation, at least on that regard, most of what he has done is actually a service that literally the government has requested him to do. So unironically enough, this is the least handiest out guy who that we've largely dealt with. He's not literally the fucking Koch brothers or fucking Warren Buffett or the banks or any of the people that I fucking have some real issues with. Okay. The other part,
out guy. That's quite the quote.
I apologize. I know that's quite a take. I'm sorry. I remind you, I am an idiot. Okay, I'm just here to shitpost on the internet with all of you because
You'll always be my homie, though, dude. You'll always be a fun.
Hey, look, I'm just a dumbass redneck from fucking.
No, you're
Indiana,
not. Stop it. Stop.
Right.
What time is Elon win self-driving car? Is it next year?
Okay, I don't know. Anyway, here's where I want to reply a little bit on my closing thoughts for Lactoid, so we can move the fuck on. And I wish he was here because this is where I want to separate between myself and libertarians. I understand where he has this idea the democracy kind of is bad on some levels, and I'm I get what his argument is, but I'm very much a believer in the idea that democracy is the worst of all governments, except for all the other ones that we've tried. Because when it comes down to it, I would rather have a government that says, hey, look, this is a collective enterprise. You all get to vote. Yeah, you might be literally 1 in 160 million people who vote for this fucking office, but you do get a say. You all collectively get some level of engagement as far as where direction this bitch goes. And then on top of which, and this is more important, is that compared to the alternative of an autocracy or a dictatorship or whatever, where I don't fucking matter unless I am a part of the police force or the goddamn army or the tax collector, they can put my taxes at 80, 90%, or they can draft me and send me off to war and die horribly. I will absolutely fucking take democracy, is with all of its fucking problems, over anything else that anyone's actually thrown out. I'm done.
All right. So moving on to the next topic. Should the Central Park Five be able to sue Trump for defamation for actions from 1996? Do they deserve a reckoning? Central Park Five sued Trump for jogger case remarks at debate. The men, formerly known as the Central Park Five, before they were exonerated, filed a defamation lawsuit Monday against Republican presidential nominee Donald Trump. With Election Day 2 weeks away, the group accused the former president of making false and defamatory statements about them during last month's presidential debate with Vice President Kamala Harris. The group is asking for a jury trial to determine compensatory and punitive damages. Defendant Trump falsely stated that the plaintiffs killed an individual and pled guilty to the crime. These statements are demonstrably false, the group wrote in a federal complaint. The men are upset because Trump essentially defamed them in front of 67 million people, which has caused them to seek to clear their names all over again, co-lead counsel Shannon Spector told the Associated Press in an email. Spector had no comment when asked if there were concerns. Some see this lawsuit as purely political because of the group's support for Harris. We are seeking redress in the court, Spector said. How do we feel about this? Starting with Gibbs.
I don't know. This is an interesting one. I'll admit I'm not as familiar with the Central Park 5 case as I would like to be, but from what my understanding, somebody can correct me if I'm wrong, they admitted to it under duress, allegedly. Then they pled not guilty. Then they later recanted and were recanted their confession, pled not guilty, and then were later convicted. The jury trials, however, their convictions were vacated. If that's the timeline that I understand. Kind of, we're doing a quick overview of the CP5. So if that's the case, I would find it pretty hard for them to win this. I mean, I guess you live in America, you could sue anybody for anything really nowadays. So I mean, are they within their rights to sue them? Sure. Do I think they're going to win? No. I mean, this really seems like a case where they're like thinking maybe they can make some money because there's like been several $100 million spent by Trump or been forced to be paid by Trump to other people that have hit him with defamation and whatnot. It just seems like they're trying to get some money and mess with the election cycle to me. But we'll see if it's an interesting strategy for them. We'll see how it works out. I don't know how they win if they've already been convicted previously, even if it's been recanted. I feel like there's enough evidence they're not going to be able to claim defamation.
All right, Joe.
Trump's a funny guy. He said that Michael Bloomberg agreed to them. He didn't even speak publicly about the Central Park 5. He doesn't even know what motherfucker was in office when that shit was going down. Good for Trump, man. That like display of senileness is impeccable. I really hope he's doing okay. I worry about the man, because I understand what it must be like to be an old person and have to like drag your body around all of these different events and conventions and stuff like that. I don't know. I think this fucker's got like maybe 4 years left in the tank. Joe Biden's already cooked. We don't have to worry about him being he's already in the dirt. But Donald Trump is playing this weird balancing act where he's acting like he's not in the ground, but because he has like the sharpness in casual conversations that doesn't like tell that he's like not doing well. But hey, listen, I think we could probably have a better conversation about how we're still using like former prisoners and people who are victims of the justice system as political pawns, just trying to set narratives and stuff like that. There's something to that, but I don't know why they'd even want to go after Donald Trump in this capacity. I don't know. I just don't know why one would want to do that. It was such a passing thought in a debate, but I guess when you have dumbass coons like Reverend Sharpton. Oh shit, my bad. I forgot I was online. When you have people like Reverend Sharpton and all these other people chucking and jiving, telling them what to do, And then I guess is what you got to do. My bad, guys. I'm sorry.
Couldn't help it. Lactoid.
Go ahead and restart my stream here real quick.
Let's hope the
let me go
Twitch gods don't fucking
let me
yank
go
us for that
restart
shit.
streams here. Yeah, real quick.
Wait,
Give me
wait,
2 seconds.
what happened?
Just restart your stream.
Old boy dropped a slur.
Yeah,
Wait,
restart your
what was
stream.
it? The slur that black people are like allowed to say on Twitch or no?
No, it was not.
Technically, yes, it is.
All right, I will.
Technically,
I would restart your stream.